Welcome back to Venus Improbable Dream. Best to explain to them what you'll be doing from now on. 45 minutes with them and 50 minutes with Haruka. So it's a good balance in a way. Stealing myself, I head over to them, hovering awkwardly and feeling too shy to butt into their conversation. I'm somewhat relieved when one of them notices me, leading the others to turn around and face me, though it almost makes me uncomfortable at the same time. Hey, sorry about Friday. It seems to take them a moment to realise what I'm referring to, but once the penny drops, they all shrug nonchalantly. Oh, no worries. Did you want to practice today? I nod my eyes on the ground. Okay, if that's okay. I tell them haltingly about how I was hoping to spend most of free practicing here with them from now on and then meeting Haruka for the last 15 minutes or so. I have to take a discreet breath to steady myself after saying so much, and once the boys have consulted with each other for a moment, they all seem to approve. Sure, sounds good. We forgot you were friends with her. How'd you manage it? It was just sheer convenience. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, she's so shy. How'd you start hanging out? That's a good question. The others share grins, though they don't seem to be having malicious thoughts about Haruka. It's more amused curiosity, exactly. I don't think they're the type to be too critical of other people, much to my relief. Dunno. In a way, I'm as clueless as they are about how I ended up becoming Haruka's friend, and the boys chuckle quietly, and for a moment begin to look oddly impressed. She must think you're pretty cool, Akane. That's one way of putting it. He nudges my arm gently in jest, and though it startles me slightly, I manage not to show it too much. Come on now. They all laugh once more, and then, as if they've collectively realised that they'd better not put any more social pressure on me, they turn back to their instruments. Yes, please do so. We'll come over once group practice ends. Just let us know when you want to leave. Okay. I nod gratefully and take the opportunity that they've provided to duck out of the conversation, skittering back over to the piano and sitting down with a bump. With a little bump. They still kind of terrify me, but, well, at least I can hold some sort of exchange with them. So I say conversation, but that's not too far from me. Letting my tension escape in a long breath, I take out my music sheet from my bag and set myself up for practice. I don't have too long to wait, entertain myself by plonking out the melody of the right hand casually, until the club is in full attendance. Kudo-sensei calls us all to attention, but before he gets down to business, he gives a little speech. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and germs, today is the day. Today is when we put all of our efforts into one beat. We better do this in perfection this time around, ladies and gents. Otherwise, you will all be sent to the meat grinder. I'm just kidding. Now, before we start, I just want to remind you that as important as it is to spend time honing your parts alone, getting together with other members to play, even if it's just in pairs, can work wonders. Indeed. It increases your ability to blend as a group, and that's exactly what we need right now to really gain that uniform result that we're looking for. So, I wanted to suggest some potentially helpful groups for you all to work in. Has anyone already been working together? Several sets of hands shot up in the air, and he moves around the room, analysing the existing subgroups and suggesting improvements, and goes on to encourage those without practice partners to consider working with each other. When he gets round to my side of the room, he addresses the trombone player standing near me. Now, last week I noticed you were practicing with several people. Did he now? He throws off as though he acts as though he's casting around the room, looking for an answer. He eyes me briefly in a somewhat encouraging manner. I guess he must have noticed the two occasions I'd stayed in here last week, and I'm not surprised. I usually rush out of the room so quickly. My presence must have stuck out like a sore thumb when I'd actually lingered behind. I also realised he's wording this the way he is to avoid calling me out by name, of course, again, which is very considerate of him. In response to his usual questioning, another member of the friendship group pipes up, raising his hand. Yeah, we're all practicing together. He motions to the others to raise their hands as well, and they do so. Feeling very self-conscious, but accepting that at least I don't have anything to say, reworded that, I raise my own hand timidly, by accident by the way. Kudo-sensei counts us up, noting me lastly as though he continues to address the group as a whole. He looks at me with a reproving grin. 5 of you? Oh, that's very good. Nice mixture of instruments too. Yes, I like that group. You could stay right there. Right. Anybody else? He moves away, although I swear he shoots me a wink as he goes. I guess he's glad I'm actually mixing with someone other than Haruka for a change. He finishes inspecting, discussing with groups, and then our regular practice begins, but also people who are dedicated to performing as a group rather than a solo, if they manage to get round to it, that is. Which, unfortunately, nerves break down at the last moment. Can you try these 2 notes again in the second phase of the right hand? Okay, we skipped ahead of time a little bit here. Sure, did I do something wrong? The ensemble had worked hard as usual, and I'd spent most of free practice with the 4 boys who now officially make up my subgroup. Our subgroup? Come on, it's not just one person. Almost at its end, the last few minutes of practice are being spent with Haruka as planned. I am my sheet music and consult the bar that she's referring to, and play the higher melody aloud. Haruka nods acknowledging something in her mind. It's not wrong, I just think the rhythm needs to be a little tighter. Instead of playing them equally, make the first note a little quicker and bounce it off to the second. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think I get it. I'll try again. I'll start a piece from the top and attempt to implement Haruka's advice once I get to the section in question. I guess I succeed somewhat, because she grows more excited when I play it. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I'll do that from now on. And there goes the bell. Don't these times go so quickly when you're having fun? Before I can announce if anything else needs tweaking, the bell rings, announcing the end of our session, and the 2 of us will actually put our feet away, having been quite engrossed in what we're doing. Okay, naturally we can't peg as much into our practices as we used to. Now that I'm spending more time with the group, but it's still something, and I'm very grateful for it, as Haruka sometimes picks up on things that the boys don't. One-to-one sessions can do that, actually. Donning our bags, Haruka's flute case in her hand, we leave the room. We got the show tomorrow, haven't we? I can't wait to go. We haven't been to one in a while. Ah, yes, the theatre show. I stiffened slightly at her words, reminding that once school ends tomorrow, I'll be thrust into another unfamiliar situation. Although I volunteered myself for it, starting to feel nervous, I do my best to push it aside. I'm excited to hear what you think about the performances afterwards. Are you still okay about going? Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. No, I'm very good about it. I'm grateful that she's been considerate of me. But I don't want to let on that I'm more scared that I might seem. It's generous of her and her parents to invite me, so I want to come across as enthusiastic and appreciative as I can. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm interested to hear what types of pieces they'll play. I don't know anything about the different styles or eras of classical music, and as it stands with my current knowledge, I can't imagine what the variations will be. So many of them. I rack my brain as we head out into the corridor, trying to remember anything for Can I speak today, for goodness sakes? I might have picked up. I don't like it when I cannot speak. It's my dyspraxia kicking in. You might end up learning a few things. You haven't seen a show like this before. Probably. It should be good. It should be. Yeah, the word is should there. As soon as I say this, my mouth twists into a poorly disguised smirk at myself. I think that's Haruka's affinity for music rubbing off on me. You and your parents are challenging me, you know. If anybody invited me to a classical performance before, I would have totally bailed. I put a bite of humour into my voice, and she picks up on me, giggling quietly. Well, if it's a good change, then I guess it's okay, right? We laugh again, and I halt for a moment to let her exit through the door first. Thank yours. We are enveloped in warm, late afternoon light as we leave the school building, turning to say goodbye to each other, although we pause for a moment to go over our plan for action for tomorrow. Haruka reminds me to bring a change of clothes, which I'm grateful for, having forgotten. Some schools encourage their students to wear their uniforms even on personal trips out, as a way of promoting school pride and demonstrating respectful students to the public. Okay. However, our school isn't too big on it, and to be honest, I'm kinda glad. I'd rather not be thinking about school and club performances every time I look down at myself while we're at the theatre. I probably have enough on my mind. Indeed, Okay, well, I guess we'll see each other tomorrow, then. She says this with a hint of excitement, and I can tell that she's really looking forward to sharing the theatre outing with me. It adds to my nerves a little, but I try not to let it seep into my voice as I reply. Yeah, see you tomorrow. She nods with a smile, and I feel an odd combination of worry and relief. Worry for what unknown things are to come, and relief that at least it's not about the festival for a change. Yeah, not about the festival, but once this is done and over with, it's going to be the festival all over again. We must have skipped a day then if we're here now. It's been a pretty standard Tuesday so far. School and club activities had gone as usual, and I'd stuck to my new schedule of practicing with the 4 guys before dashing off to spend the last of my club time with Haruka. When we'd left together, it had felt bizarre to be walking in the same direction instead of saying goodbye and splitting off to head home. Not the first time this has happened though. This is the 3rd time this has happened now, but it never feels any more natural each time. Casting an eye at the sky, I actually find myself grateful for the absence of rain for once. The last thing I need is to get caught in it and mess up with my hair. Or something. I don't usually care much about that sort of thing, but I want to look my best for tonight. I'm hoping to make a good impression with Haruka's parents and not show them up by looking scruffy. I mean, there's already one thing about my appearance that sucks, so I better not add anything else. Go on, man. The 2 of us share relatively contented silence, and though I'm not currently looking at Haruka, I can practically feel the waves of anticipation coming off her. She must be really excited about the show, with a friend as well. In a much smaller way, I am too, but I'm having to battle for my nerves first. Hopefully, once we get to the theatre and are settled in our seats, and the lights go down, then I'll be able to relax a bit. For now, I'm still shaky. Haruka takes out her keys as we approach her house, unlocking the door and letting me in with a smile, just as she had last time. Bowing my head almost in anticipation of seeing her parents, I follow her inside. Just in time! Nice to see you again, Kakeru. Come on in. He shoots me an ineffable grin, though turns away so as not to make me too uncomfortable. And I find myself feeling truly grateful that he and his wife both seem to understand my problem and are capable of taking it in its stride without a fuss. The 3 of us head towards the kitchen, and the tantalizing smell of food wafting from it reaches us before we even get there, causing my stomach to start lusting after it, as we do when it comes to hunger and then food. Luckily we don't have to wait, as Haruka's mom had timed our meal to be ready on our arrival. Timing your meals is very, very difficult, but when you master it, it becomes second nature. Hungry and wants to be sure that we're ready to head out in good time for the show, we finish our greetings and gather in the dining room to share the feast. Some money? I'm not sure how much my ticket for the performance cost, but since Haruka's mom brought them all together, I want to be sure that I pay my way. Gathering up as many notes as I figure will cover it, and then a little extra just in case, I actually offer them to her as she comes around my side of the table to help Haruka fill her plate. My head is deeply bowed in both respect and embarrassment, but I can still picture her expression as I hear her speak. Oh, that's alright, Kakeru. It's admirable to offer, but this is our treat. But still, the courtesy is counted. Stunned, I retract the money slowly, awkwardly flashing her the most sincere eye contact I could muster before looking down again. Really? Yes, don't worry about it. This is your first concert, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. We've been taking Haruka to concerts for years. I think it's only fair that you get treated at least once, don't you? She directs the question towards her husband, who nods with a grin. Definitely. Let us take you 2 out as a bit of fun before the festival, eh? You must be working hard. Flummoxed by their generosity, I curl myself into the deepest bow yet, probably looking like a bit of an idiot, and scrounging the money carelessly in my fist in the process. Thanks so much. No problem, kid. Now let us eat up before this goes cold. Definitely, and before it gets too late. With a grin he begins to tuck into his food, encouraging the rest of us to do the same. I turn towards Haruka, and as though she can read my mind, she tilts her head in my direction and smiles as if to reassure me that it really is okay for me to accept their gift. Still taking it back, I stuff the money back into my bag and join the 3 of them as they eat. After a few minutes, Haruka's dad pipes up again. Besides, I'd say he did a great thing by helping Haruka find out where that music box melody came from. Let's call it a thank you for that, shall we? Okay? Haruka emits a quiet giggle at the reminder of it. Evidently still on cloud 9 at being able to listen to it and learn to play the tune's original piece as I nod. And I nod, sorry. I'm only sorry that we didn't find it out ourselves earlier. He eyes Haruka somewhat guiltily, obviously having wished that he'd managed to do it for her years ago, when they first got him the box. There we go. I didn't take much notice of the Venus painters on it. I thought it was probably just a manufacturer's signature or something. Look closer. I can see why he made that mistake. It's easy to assume something like that, and it's only out of my own fresh curiosity, coupled with my relatively decent internet savvy, that I was successful in riddling it out. He chuckles to himself, something else evidently having cropped up in his mind. I suppose we'll have to up our game when it comes to classical music. You overtake... No, don't say that, for goodness sakes. I manage a small laugh along with everybody else. I don't know that much. But more since you started spending time with Haruka, right? We know the feeling. Another bout of laugh that hits the air, and I can't help but agree. Haruka definitely has that effect on people, sorry. We settle down and finish our meals, and after the dishes are taken care of, Haruka heads upstairs to change her clothes, her mum going with her to assist. Okay, that shows me to a guest bedroom, where I can do the same, and after thanking him awkwardly, I change out my uniform and into a set of regular clothes I brought with me. I don't really own anything that you call formal, but I still try my best to look as presentable as I can. Wearing a buttoned shirt that hasn't seen the light of day for a while. Does it still fit me? Feeling slightly odd in my own clothes, I head back downstairs and into the dining room. After a while, everybody gathers together ready to leave. With an excited beam from Haruka, we set off for the show. And, oh, this must be the parking lot. Okay, this is the tricky part. The car pulls up in the theatre's covered parking lot, and we all step out. My nerves have been steadily building on the way here, and now that we've arrived, I'm starting to jitter. Once the actual performance starts, it'll probably get easier, but the prospect of waiting in line to get our tickets checked and fighting through the rows and rows of people to get to our seats, that's not good. As everybody readies themselves to head off, I notice Haruka fiddling with her cane. She comes here several times before, from what she said, but I can still sense a little anxiety emanating from her. I guess it's still not that familiar, given that it's only once in a while. Awkwardly, I shuffle up alongside her, wanting to both offer my presence as something to help steady her nerves, and gain the exact same thing from her at the same time. Okay, so to calm down, I imagine. Ready? She turns towards me, a hint of reassurance brightening her expression slightly. Yeah. Her parents' faces seeming surprised but approving of the fact that I've stepped up to give Haruka some guidance as we walk to the theatre, and we all set off together, her mum taking her other side for extra support. And with Dad, I don't know. We head through the parking lot's hallways until we're greeted by one of the theatre's entrances, the other being outside of the street. Okay, the hum of noise produced by the crowds of people makes my heart start to pound, and I immediately wish I hadn't come here. However, as I'm finishing and beginning to sweat, something unexpected but highly appreciated happens. A theatre steward, currently unoccupied, peers in our direction, notices Haruka's cane. A look of concern quickly grown on his face. He makes his way promptly towards us, taking out a scanning device identical to the one the other stewards are using, and gestures for us to follow him with a friendly expression. Okay. Allow me to escort you to your seats, if you would. Please step this way. A little bewildered and still nervous as hell, I lumber along awkwardly alongside Haruka and her parents as we take him up on his offer. My head down. I don't want to be seen. I guess he realized that Haruka is disabled and wants to ensure that she's able to get to her seat comfortably. Well done. Customer service, very good. That's a pretty good stroke of luck. It saves us having to wait out here and endure the potential stares of everybody else. I have to continue to take deep breaths to steady myself as we all reach the front of a line. The helpful steward scanned our tickets and inviting us to follow him towards the theatre's main room. But what are we going to do now? However, as we round the corner and escape the main crush of people, my terror suddenly starts to abate, mostly thanks to a drop in volume. Taking care to give Haruka space and let her go ahead of me, I file in after her. And we got ourselves into the grand theatre itself. As we take our seats, the steward leaving us with a smile after ensuring that we had everything we needed, I discreetly eye the room from under lower eyelids. To my gradual relief, it seems as though everybody really is just going about their business, finding their own seats, buying drinks and snacks, and chatting animatedly between themselves. I know how to pronounce that word, it's just getting it out. Additionally, thanks to where we're sitting, just over half of the room is in front of us, looking ahead at the stage, and the only view that those behind us will have of me is the back of my head. I guess it is like the movies, as I previously thought. With that somewhat comforting thought, I dare myself to take a more thorough look at the place itself. I can't say I've really been to any theatres before, but this is a lot more ornate and fancy than I'd been expecting. The seats and walls are swathed in deep shades of red and plum, and the edges of each tier of seats and the area around the stage are a decadent champagne gold. It's a very nice building. It looks like something out of a movie or a TV drama, and seems fitting for a classical music performance. I pull my attention back to the conversation, noticing that Haruka and her parents are now chatting, and hope that I haven't been too rude by zoning out momentarily. It's going to take me a while to actually relax somewhat, but I think I can just about handle it, and doing that so will get you ever closer towards the goal that you've been aiming towards, to be able to break out of that shell that you're still in. It's also in this moment that I realise that Haruka's parents have arranged everyone so that they're on the ends of our group, taking the brunt of seating next to strangers so that Haruka and I can sit in the middle next to each other. Okay, I didn't even notice them do that. I guess they must have thought ahead and made sure that we'd walk in that order when we go to head down the rows to our seats. It gives me another pain of gratitude towards how thoughtful they are. With Haruka and her mom on my left and her dad on my right, I do my best to settle down and make peace with the environment, and accepting that this is where I'll be for the next few hours. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's show will begin in 5 minutes. Please take your seats and get ready for a wonderful performance. The announcement causes the people currently buying drinks or heading to the bathroom to quicken their pace, eager to make sure that they don't miss the start of the show. A greater sense of occasion seems to wash over everybody, excited for the music to begin. It seems to have the same effect on Haruka too, as she straightens up a little in her seat, beginning to smile. Hey, I hope you enjoy it, Kakeru. Are you feeling alright? I'm quaking in my boots, but I think I'll manage, Haruka. She doesn't need to imply that her question extends to more than just my general mood, and I'm grateful that she's still thinking of my anxiety. Yeah, I'll be okay. She nods, seeming glad, and turns her attention back to the room, seeming angsty and wanting the show to begin. Angsty? If I recognise any of her pieces, I'll let you know who they're by. Okay. That's a thoughtful idea, considering that we didn't buy any of the concert's official programs or anything like that. They'll cost extra. So, how are you liking it so far? She directs a question at both myself and Haruka, and before I can drum up any sort of response, Haruka jumps in. It's great. It makes me want to come here every night. That'll be really expensive. Both of her parents giggle with a knowing look, already fully aware of how much she'd be enjoying herself before asking. Yeah, it's interesting. They nod enthusiastically at the few words I managed to chip in. It's good to hear how the music developed over the years. There was a lot of scene in the early days, wasn't there? We all agree, offering our own opinions of the first half's performances, though I feel as though I don't have a lot to say, probably because I still don't really know that much about classical music as a whole. Swiveling slightly in my seat, I face her a little more directly, speaking in a hushed tone out of embarrassment. Haruka? Yeah? My throat dries up. It takes me a second to swallow awkwardly and pull some words out of myself. Thanks, for bringing me here, but also, well, for everything. My cheeks begin flaming with heat inadequacy of what I've just said. Thankfully, her parents are talking to each other leaning across the seats behind us and probably haven't heard me. I'm not sure whether she truly understands the larger connotation behind everything, but she might have picked up on at least some of it, as she smiles warmly, somehow conveying a feeling that we might be on the same wavelength. That's what friends are for. I emit a small partially amused noise, as she does the same. I guess we don't really need to go into specifics. Our understanding of each other is good enough that we don't need to spell out what we mean. Looking back at the stage and watching the orchestra work their magic, I feel as though I settle into some sort of small revelation. I think I get it now. I'd understand what she meant when she told me that she wants to perform for others and make them smile, but I don't think I really comprehended the full scale of it until this moment. These musicians are delivering such a great performance, and everybody in the room is fascinated and thoroughly enjoying themselves, lifted from whatever problems they have in their everyday lives. That's actually a really powerful thing. I eye the people on stage one by one, and they all have smiles on their faces, but they all have their own hardships. Being able to move people like this and enjoy the experience for themselves too is probably very rewarding for them. The way they play with such enthusiasm and harmony. Could our club group ever give a performance this good? Those people up there, could I be one of them? One day. I don't know. Maybe I could, but it's highly unlikely. Don't give yourself doubts, man. You can't give yourself doubt until the day you die. It still seems absolutely terrifying, but for the first time I'm starting to feel a little spark of curiosity, of excitement, of ambition, I guess, to be one of those people, to play music that brings joy to yourself and others. That would be amazing. Nothing like anything else that school prepares us for. Teaching, becoming a lawyer, or typing in a depressing office until you die. Those things would never give you a thing like that. Music is something entirely different. Haruka has always felt this, and now I understand it too. I know why she dreams her dream. I'm so absorbed in my thoughts and the captivating sway of her music that I barely notice when it ends. It's only once everyone around me is clapping like mad that I fall out of my reverie and sheepishly clap along with them. The orchestra take a bow, and as they slowly disappear from view, I'm left feeling somewhat strange, as though something special just happened, and now everything is a little different than how it was before. So, did you enjoy it, Kakeru? I loved it. She asked me while shooting me a brief glance in the rearview mirror, and I nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, it was great. I'm not just trying to seem grateful either. It really had been a fun experience, and there's a difference between pretending to think that it's fun and actually thinking it's fun. My favourite was Moonlight Sonata. The way the pianist had commanded his instrument will probably be ingrained in my mind for days. I'm not surprised. That man on the piano was brilliant. Her husband's eyes also flicked to me in the mirror, and he wears a silly grin. That'll be you one day, Kakeru. Nice one, that's a good one right there. Even I snort at that one. The idea of me ever becoming even half as good as that guy doesn't even enter into the realm of possibility. Come on, man. This kind of fantasy is possible, you know. Not even the idea of me being on stage seems likely, although the feelings I've been having since the show ended keep bringing my focus back to it. When the chatter dies down and everybody becomes content to gaze out of the windows, I murmur quietly to Haruka, "Do you think we could do it, then?" She looks towards me inquisitively. "Perform on stage?" "Yeah." This is where it's going to get a little bit hazy. I don't know, Kakeru, but I'd really like to hope so. Her voice carries a certain measure of sorrow, as though she's fighting back some pessimism, and I can understand why. The same thing has happened to her over and over for a long time, so it must be hard to practice being able to break the habit. On top of that, I can empathize with her fear, since I'm feeling exactly the same thing. It seems like an impossible task, and yet after tonight, I think I'm starting to share another theme with Haruka, the bittersweet wish to do that which seems unachievable. I knew ever since I picked up the flute I wanted to perform for people. I suppose I've just got to keep holding on to that. Yeah. She grows quiet, and the atmosphere around us becomes somewhat heavy in a way that's hard to describe. We do nothing but think as the lights and buildings rush by around us, the same thoughts circling our minds. You too, Kakeru. Okay, her soft tones barely break the film of my concentration. Huh? If you want to perform, then try not to let it go. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm feeling anymore, but I repeat Haruka's words in my head, realizing that it's the best advice anyone can really give in this situation. I guess trying not to abandon our wishes is the only sort of power that we have. Ah, Akane, can I have a word? Flummoxed and a little startled by the sudden request, I head over to him as he slots another book inside the one he's reading to keep the page. What for? Well, you've been doing rather well recently, in my opinion, so good work on that. I nod in thanks, although I get the feeling that my progress isn't what he wants to talk about. With that in mind, Haruka isn't this about? He looks almost regretful for a moment before continuing. Fujiwara, I know last time wasn't successful, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Akane, but I would appreciate you giving it one more shot about asking her to join the group. This again, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure that you'd come around to the idea of it yourself, and I'm thrilled that you have. He managed to shoot me a genuine smile through his concern, and I appreciate it. I don't think anyone has been more surprised at this turn of events than myself. So it seems an even bigger shame for Fujiwara to be left out again. Now that you two have made such firm friends, I'd really hoped that she'd feel encouraged to join, given that she evidently enjoys playing alongside you. I would be more dismissive of what he's asking, but his brow is more crinkled than I've ever seen it, and he looks legitimately bothered by the situation. I wouldn't ask twice, but this is an important scenario. Well, she's never performed. I personally don't mind too much about cutting her some slack, everything considered, but I've got the higher ups on my back by now, given how many times she's technically broken the club rules. Because it's either a case of she has to leave or she has to perform on stage. I'm not entirely sure he should have gone into that much detail. Most teachers keep their business to themselves, but I guess Kuya-sensei is not that hard-headed, and this is kind of a tough scenario, so it's one of those things where you have to roll all dice rather than throw only one of them. The fact that Haruka repeatedly fails to meet the school's standards must reflect badly on him. It does make me feel a little sorry for him, and I can tell that from his side of things. He just wants to see her play as opposed to trying to enforce a rule simply because he can. He's not a jerk. He pulls himself together a little, probably realised it, but he's waffled a bit. What do you say, Akane? Could you just give it one last try for me? I'm not sure about this, but out of obligation I nod anyway, not wanting to seem rude or disobedient. At my agreement he relaxes a little. Alright, Akane, thank you. Let's see if we can make it a full house this year. Indeed. For the first time! Group practice was a little messy on my part, thanks to my whizzing thoughts, and this free practice with boys isn't going much better. As I stumble over a line again, playing the wrong note and then getting flustered, the playthrough grinds to a halt. You alright, Akane? You seem clumsy today. I'm distracted. The other three look at me, their faces displaying the same question, and I contemplate my knees in embarrassment, annoyed at myself for letting my thoughts get in my way. Yeah, just got something on my mind. You want to talk about it? I shake my head resolutely. They share glances between each other, but to my relief none of them push the subject. Okay, well don't worry. You'll get back to normal tomorrow. Yeah, you're a good player. You'll sound great on stage. I guess they suspect that I'm worried about my capabilities as a performer, and while they're absolutely right, that's oddly not what's bothering me for a change. I thank them for their kindness nonetheless, and we get back down to business. The rest of the practice goes a little more smoothly as I make a concerted effort to not derail it any further. Once there's only 10 minutes left, I leave them behind to go to talk to Haruka, and they wave me off with smiles. I'd give them a little longer this time, since I've been a bit disruptive to start with. And we go along here, I find myself hesitating, my cold fist hovering in front of a grainy wood with uncertainty. It feels so weird to have this question waiting in my throat, wanting to leap out. I can't stay out here all day though, so I commit to it and knock. Hello, I'm coming in now. As I close the door and turn around, Haruka greets me with a smile as usual, totally unaware of the conflict in my mind. Hey Kakeru, you took a little while. What held you up? This is going to be very, very serious now. Oh dear. Another possible catalyst towards a potential ending. Be the beginning of our friendship breaking apart. Or if forget it would be it could also be the same thing because we're stuttering over something but we're not answering it. Or we're not giving her the context of it. Oh, I don't know. Ask what she thinks about joining the group again. Oh, I should just get on with it. She won't be that offended, and who knows, we might end up playing in the group together, which would be another boost to my confidence indeed. Taking a breath, I respond to her question after some delay. To be honest, it was Kudo-sensei. He asked me to check with you again about joining the group for the performance. Might as well be transparent about it. It hadn't been my idea. Haruka gains a knowing, mildly irritated look in reply. He really is persistent this year, isn't he? You should be more reflective about what he also said, Kakeru, about the potential risk that it brings to the music club and Kudo. There's a hint of amusement to her voice, so I know that she's not annoyed with me. Yeah, sorry, I think it's my fault. He keeps going on about trying to persuade you because we made friends. She softens a little at this. Oh, don't apologise, you're not to blame. Besides, I'm glad we made friends anyway. She smiles at me, and I can't help but return it, even though she can't see it. You can make happy noises, you know. Me too. But yeah, he's expecting me to give him some sort of answer, I think. Well, he should already know what it is. But there's going to be more strain. She smirks and then I join in. I can't help but feel bad for Kudo-sensei. He is only trying to help her feel comfortable enough to perform, and in extension, I feel sorry for Haruka too. Even I've gone and integrated myself into the group. Is it really okay for her to be cast adrift by herself? Will her stubbornness cause her to fall short again? I just want to help her succeed. You know, Haruka. I stumble over how to word what I want to say, and she regards me curiously. I probably won't say this right, but I just want you to know that the group's actually not that bad. I didn't want to join at all, but it's turned out better than I thought of. If you did want to give it a try, I think it would be more comfortable than you expect. She doesn't say anything in reply, simply contemplating me pensively, so I continue. I feel better performing than before, and there's a lot of support in the group, so yeah, it's okay. I just don't want you to miss out. If you are thinking about joining, but are worried about it. Did Kudo-sensei tell you to say that too? Nope, that was me that time. A slight air of distaste envelops her, and I realise that I must have communicated badly. No, sorry. I'm not good at words. Want to remedy the situation, convey what I mean in a way that she'll appreciate more, I try again. I just mean that it'd be really great if you were in a group. We could... No, that's even worse, actually. Oh, no. And maybe if we have that support from others, we could really do this performance. She turns my words over in her head, but though her voice is calm when she speaks, it doesn't give me a good feeling. No, I'm not saying that at all. Are you saying that I'm not good enough on my own? God, no, that's not what I meant at all. Of course not. No. Oh, I just, sorry. Training off pathetically, I wrestle with how to broach this subject without hurting her feelings, which is the last thing I want. Before I can get there, Haruka speaks instead. I know what you're saying, but I made up my mind. I'm working on Venus and I'm determined to play, even if my track record is bad. I just want to do this alone. I thought you understood that. She starts to look a little downcast, and I'm quick to dive in and refute the idea that I don't comprehend her reasoning. I do, I'm sorry. All I meant was, I guess I just might as well reveal the most self-centered part of my reasoning for her to consider joining the group, in the spirit of being honest. It'd just be great to play by your side. Her shoulders sag as she releases some of that tension, looking a little conflicted. You should have thought about that before. I guess she's right. I can't make a choice for myself and then try to derail hers. Yeah, I guess I just wondered if you might change your mind. I thought you might feel better with other people's support. And with me. I don't think I worded that as well as I'd wanted to, but I said it, gazing at Haruka's somewhat torn expression. I wait for her to respond, but she doesn't speak, contemplating the floor worriedly. Again with this. Oh dear. Oh dear, dear. Stop it. Oh gosh. She's uttered the words quietly, but their impact have been large. I fall silent mid-sentence. Just stop it, Kakeru. You're hurting my feelings and you're starting to sound like him. She throws a hand in the direction of the opposite wall, and I know that she's referring to Kakeru-sensei. My mouth begins to grow dry and suddenly regretting everything I've said. Sorry, Haruka. The words come out as a whimper, and she speaks over them. Please don't suggest I'm only of value when I'm working with other people. I always wanted to do this alone. This is my dream. She trails off for a second, seeming momentarily overwhelmed by her feelings before continuing. I can't join that group. I just can't. But what's making you stopping that? She says this as though it hurts her, and though she would if she could, but her fears are holding her back and causing her to struggle towards her dream alone. If I can get her to open up, then perhaps we could talk it through, and I can dispel her worries. Why not? A deafening silence falls over us, void of almost anything, and the air practically crackles between us. Then, oh gosh, to my absolute horror, the taut strands of Haruka's patience break and she snaps. Oh. You're not a freak. You are not a freak at all. Because I'm blind, Kakeru. That's why I'm not... No. Yikes. The sudden harsh loudness of her usually soft voice almost floors me, like daggers in my chest. No, Haruka, you're not a freak at all. If you could see who you're looking at right now, you'd know that. I can't go in there and expect everyone to understand how I feel, what I need, and pander me like a child, and I don't want that anyway. I want to do something of my own free will, with my own hands, and prove to myself that I'm worth something. But that also can happen inside a group performance. Joining them won't prove anything, it'll just make me feel worse. How do you know, though? I can't breathe. This is possibly the worst thing that could have happened. Haruka is livid. I've never seen her like this, and it's all my fault. I just want to do something for once, and I am trying, and I am, and you... She jabs a finger at me, tears beginning to form in her eyes. You're my only friend, my best friend. Why won't you respect my decision? I don't get it. I thought we were... Clutching both her hands to her chest, she starts to cry, huge damp spots quickly blooming on the material of her shirt as her tears fall. There are so many things that I want to do in this moment, but I feel completely powerless to help her. Choking down sobs, she forces out more words. Oh dear. I thought it would go south at some point, and this is when it happens. I need to play Venus. It's the only thing that'll make me do it. You showed it to me, Kakeru. I thought you'd understand why it's so important to me. Yes, we understand why it's important to you. But there's a certain amount of entrapment that you're putting yourself to dispel others away, including Kakeru himself. Like, you're not absorbing other people's viewpoints into your own spectrum. Your own spectrum of influence and realm of understanding and perception of things, people. And that's why at this point in time you're angry, because you're feeling like everyone else is denying your wishes. But there are other things larger in life than just what you personally want. There's others as well, and what they want. This got heavy all of a sudden. Her voice is slowly beginning to soften, and while she's drowning her own sorrow, I take the opportunity to drag 2 words, kicking and screaming, out of my mouth. I do. I really do. I understand perfectly. I should never have questioned it, even on Kudo-sensei's behalf. However, the sincerity I felt evidently hasn't made its way to Haruka as her brows frows, her expression growing hostile once more. You obviously don't, Kakeru, otherwise you wouldn't keep pushing this. I don't understand you anymore. As she finishes her villatronic sentence, the bell rings outside of the room, signaling the end of club activities. She goes silent for a moment, her eyes darting towards the sound, but neither of us move. I'll feel like I'm frozen solid. No matter what I say, it only offends Haruka more. I don't know what to do, and it's making me feel so panicky. Her anger apparently not quelled by the fact that it's time to leave, she starts shouting again. I went to a lot of effort to make friends with you. I was honest with you, like I haven't been with anyone else, and I told you everything I was afraid of. I really thought I found someone who'd support me, but you're just acting like Kudo-sensei and everyone else, trying to get me to conform to normal standards. That's not it. She spits the word normal like it's a curse. Was everything we did together just a lie? Did you even mean anything you said? Oh my goodness sakes. Yeah, hits like a brick wall. There's never been a single cell in my body that wanted to lie to Haruka about how I see her opinions, her struggles, and her feelings. I've only ever been truthful with her, but I do understand and support her in her endeavours. I just blanked this all up. I should never have asked a second time. I should have realised what it would insulate about her, how it would hurt her feelings, how insensitive of me it was. We've already been through it, and she gave me her answer. I should have drawn the line there. I want to tell her so many things to convince her of the truth, but I'm 100% behind her dream, and that I want her to do it her way. I want to change me so badly, but I can't. I'm terrified of doing or saying the wrong thing, and hurting her even more, and the fear keeps me chained down like a dog on a short leash, unable to move or even speak. You want me to reply, but yet you're giving us this fear. Kakeru, say something! What can we say? It's not coming out. I feel like there's a dead weight on my chest. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to say this. I don't know. Wow. Haruka closes her eyes and lets out a long sigh, her face glistening with shed tears. Then she turns away and wordlessly begins to put her flute back into its case. My limbs are like lead, and my lungs are on fire. I feel trapped inside a body that won't obey me, watching helplessly as she picks up her cane, ready to leave. She navigates towards the door, passing pretty close to me as she does. The tip of her cane bumps against my shoe, and she flinches away especially hard when she realizes that it's me. Don't say anything. She'll just get angry again. Don't come here anymore. Yep, I thought that was going to be the case. Oh dear. Wow. The words cut me like knives. Without looking back, she exits through the door, letting it close behind her like it's the final nail in the coffin of our friendship. Well, what have I done? It's not what you've done. It's what she's done. Bringing my trembling hands up to my mouth, I shudder as a torrent of tears begin to cascade down my cheeks hotly. I hear my own voice whimpering aloud, beyond my control, as the overwhelming pain envelops me completely, exaggerated by the now empty room I'm standing in. She's gone. Haruka's gone, and I don't think she ever wants to see me again. This hurts so much. Well, that is hurting, isn't it? I walked home faster than ever before, almost running to get to the privacy of my room. Ignoring the slight progress I'd started to make with paying more respect to my parents, I totally blanked them as I barreled into the house, dashing upstairs without saying a word. I just can't believe what's happened. It feels like a bad dream, an alternate reality. This can't be real, but no matter how much I will the scenario to change, it doesn't. I pushed Haruka away and hurt her badly. I never meant to do that, but I've gone and done it regardless. To be honest, when she first got mad at me, I felt as though I hadn't done enough to provoke such an extreme reaction from her. You didn't. And that's the thing, you didn't. You only considered maybe not this, but that. You're still doing the same thing, but with other people. Being blind has nothing to do with your abilities as a person. Like, what you can put down. Like, dealing with it. I can't even imagine how much frustration, pain, and sadness comes out of this sort of thing at the very beginning. But you develop a habit. You get through the horrors of everyday life. We all have our own horrors in our own days. But I think, for once, Haruka overstepped the mark here. And I think that somehow, would Haruka bounce back and apologize for being mad at Kakeru? Because I think she went too far. However, now that I've thought about it and run the scene through my head a million times, it's become obvious I wasn't wrong. You wasn't! Haruka trusted me to understand her motivations, her wishes, and her point of view. In the end, I just made it sound like I wanted her to abandon what she wanted and just conform, and disregard her own feelings and circumstances to try to become like everyone else. It must have felt horrible to hear that from me of all people. I should have known as soon as Kudo-sensei mentioned that it wouldn't be right to ask her again. I kind of felt obliged to try once more on his behalf, and it screwed up everything up. As I slump in my chair, I do nothing but sinking further into turmoil. I feel a desperate yearning, and though I'm not sure how to go about what I want to do, I'll pull my phone out of my pocket. Dear, I'm a bit torn here. I think it takes me about 10 minutes to write the message, typing and deleting and typing in circles, agonizing over whether I've said it's good enough. In reality, I bite the bullet and press send. But I think she might have blocked your number by now. Haruka, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean any of what I said to hurt you. Please tell me that we can still be friends. The text disappears into the ether, and I cradle my face into my hands tensely, waiting what feels like hours. I'm not sure how much later her reply comes in, but when it does, I jerk it as though I've been scared half to death, scrambling to open it. Damn. This is why I don't make friends, Kakeru. It never works out. Damn. I start furiously bashing out a response. We worked out before I acted stupid. Is there any way you can forgive me? What do I need to do? I think in Haruka's head it's just, don't talk to me again. Don't be with me again. I feel as though there's something stuck in my throat, but I realise that it's a rush of tears threatening to burst out of me. Not wanting to cry for a second time today, I hold it down with gritted teeth. Oh dear, urgently wants to do whatever, make her better, go back to normal. However, the instruction that I met is not what I expected and caused my breath to catch in my chest. You need to leave me alone, Kakeru. No, don't want to leave you alone, Haruka. I want to convince you that I really do believe in your vision, and that I want to see you succeed, and be by your side to watch it happen. Please don't shut me down like this. I thought you were different. When we started talking, I felt like you actually understood me, like I could be myself around you. But even with your issues, you just proved that you really are the same as everybody else. You're disappointed. I don't know what to say. I thought I was different too. I don't operate on the same grounds as the other kids are in school. I don't partake in all the gossip and shallow BS. I thought I was someone Haruka could trust and confide her fears in. But now I don't know what I am anymore. If Haruka feels like I've betrayed her trust, then our friendship can't carry on the way it was. She'll never let me in again. I can't stand it. I can't accept that this is how it ends. There must be something I can do. And another message comes in. Please don't talk to me again. But I have to, Haruka. I can't let you stay hurt like this. I need to make up for my transgressions and make you smile again. I pummel the keys at light speed, desperately wants to get through to her, but when I press the send button, I'm met with a notification that isn't a confirmation of its delivery. Yeah, blocked. You cannot reply to this conversation. Yeah, that's what happened. Yikes. Yeah. Definitely what you would call a bad route, folks. But the phone sliding from my hands, I chattering onto the floor loudly. I finally lose control and break down. The tears I've been fighting back begin coursing down my face at a rapid pace, and my chest clenches painfully as I choke on my sobs. It's over. I lost my only real friend, and it's all my fault. I probably haven't acknowledged it properly all this time, but Haruka was actually really important to me, a gift and helping hand amongst all the uncertainty and fear. We backed each other up when it felt like no one else was truly on our side. We pushed our hesitancy aside and dared to open up to each other, to make friends, to share our hopes and dreams with each other. And I went and trampled on it all. I threw my only real friendship away without even realizing what I was doing. And now I'm left with nothing. I have no idea how much time passes, or whether anyone can hear me or not, but I sit in that chair for what feels like years, unable to do anything other than cry, and cry, and cry. Well, and here we are now, back in the piano room. The group is practicing as usual, but I can't concentrate. I feel completely detached from my surroundings, as though I'm floating in a bubble of introspection that nothing can break. It's been a few days since Haruka and I fell apart, and I haven't seen her once in that time. I've obeyed her request that I don't visit her practice room anymore, and have spent all of my time in here, working with the 4 boys I've essentially joined forces with. It's been awful, though. I spent every session itching to get to the part where I go to meet her, only to kick myself in the gut once more by reminding myself that I can't. Earlier today, I ventured up to her classroom's floor, peering away at the corner of the dead-end hallway where she eats her lunch, and my heart had practically jumped into my throat at the sight of her sitting there. However, when I tried to hype myself up to go over and say something, I become overwhelmed with fear and doubt, and ultimately lost my nerve. It felt like I've been stuck in a horrible limbo, then vehemently wishing to be released back into the place I want to be, by Haruka's side, and it's her friend once more, but it never comes. There's a realization here as well, that everyone possible that Haruka could possibly be friends with, she instantly just pushed them away, like if she was an opposite of a magnet to most people, that she would just repel anyone because of the fact that they were normal. So, Kakeru, this isn't your fault. This is someone else's fault, who has always pushed everyone else away. But yeah, I think that's just my little opinion on this matter. I don't think it's Kakeru's fault at all. Although I do think he did question it more than once, which was, from Haruka's perspective, so far out of line, even just after the first time. It wasn't meant to be then, in this timeline. When I left the room after Haruka's outburst on Thursday, Kudo-sensei was already gone, so I had to wait until the next club session to tell him that she'd gotten upset and didn't want to join the group. I tried to make it sound more casual than it had been, but I'm pretty sure that he cottoned on to the idea that something big had happened between us. Instead of shrugging it off and sending me on my way with one of his trademark cheery grins, he eyed me worriedly and told me that it was okay, and that I didn't need to feel bad about it. Unfortunately, he doesn't feel bad about it, doesn't get anywhere close to consoling me in the slightest. You need to be upfront with her, Kudo, and tell her that if you do not perform, then you will have no choice but to not be part of a music club at all. And after Kudo-sensei gave us feedback, he asked for another renedition. Just before we begin, at the moment when the most dense silence falls over us, my ears pick up on a faint sound, so distant but still there. Haruka's flute, I can hear it from here. My hands start to tremble for no particular reason, as though I try to put my concentration on what I'm about to play. My mind won't focus on anything but the sound of Haruka. Come on, man. The group begins to play and I go along with it as best I can, feeling as though my consciousness and my body have been separated, leaving me unable to do my part properly. After the first section of the piece, Kudo-sensei stops conducting and holds up his hand, and the performance grinds to a halt. For a moment I cower in horror, knowing that it's me that's throwing everybody off, but to my surprise it doesn't single me out. I think we need to break from free practice earlier today. Let's just focus on honing our parts and help each other out, okay? There's a distant ripple of dissatisfaction among the group, but no one calls me out on my terrible performance, reluctantly falling into their free practice routines instead. As I'd expected, Kudo-sensei comes straight over to me, signaling to the boys I practiced with to leave us alone for a moment. Wincing, I brace myself for a turning off. Akane, there's something troubling you, isn't there? What do you think is troubling us? I know how well you play. You wouldn't be this unfocused if something wasn't the matter. Do you want to talk about it in private? For a moment, his gentle and caring nature almost tempts me to take him up on the offer, but I know what would happen. I'd start trying to tell him about Haruka, but would most likely break down halfway through and get escorted out if I don't take off running first. I sit there in silence, unable to reply to Kudo-sensei at all, using up all my effort to stop myself from crying instead. His shoulders sag as he looks pitifully at me, seeming unsure as to how to help me. Akane. This might sound unsympathetic of me, but we're at a very crucial stage in the game, you know. Yeah, we definitely are, in more ways than one. The festival is next week, so if we're all going to do this together, then you're going to need to buckle up a little. Next week? I guess I lost track of time, ever since that horrible day. You've got people here who will understand, if you need to get something off your chest or want to help with something. But whatever you decide, just remember we've got something very important to prepare for. I get why he's saying this. It's not to be uncaring, but to remind me that if the performance is going to be a success, then I'll have to get my act together, as I am currently dragging the group down like an anchor. Thing is, I can't even think about that right now. Nothing can pierce through the murky waters of my sorrow. Do you understand? He gazed at me, his brow frowned with worry, and like the disappointment that I am. No, you're not. I continue to sit there, staring at my lap, the ability to form words or even nod my head gone. Akane? Oh gosh. Oh no. Yes, I understand. I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience that my son has caused. So he fainted? Lurking at the bottom of the stairs, I eavesdropped timidly on the one-sided conversation coming on from the lounge. My mom is on the phone with her school and it sounds like they're not happy with what she's had to tell them. Last night after I came home, my parents have pressed me about what's been bothering me for almost a week. I had to cave in and tell them some sort of truth, giving them a very abbreviated version of what happened between me and Haruka. On top of this, I struggled through one last day of regularity before doing the unthinkable and asking Mum to call the school. I've dropped out of a music club. Oh no. Kudo-sensei is going to be furious, and I don't blame him. I made a promise to see something through to the end. I need to run away and mess it all up. Now they're going to have to rearrange the instrumentation to cover the parts I've abandoned and trying to learn it perfectly by next week. What a blank move I've pulled. Still, with my shattered mental state now, I just couldn't face trying to take on the challenge of actually going through it with a performance. I've lost all my hope, my inspiration, and the small scrapes of courage I started to pull together. I associated them all with Haruka, and she took them all away with her when she left. Tuning back into the sound of my mom's voice for a moment, I grimace shamefully as I hear what she's saying. Well, I think the pressure must have gotten to him, and I believe he also lost the friend he had in the club. I think it really knocked his confidence. Yeah, okay. Oh really? I haven't heard anything about a festival. Yeah, you never told them. That's a stupid move for doing so. I never even told my parents what I was working towards, and now Mom's probably getting an earful about how I derailed the club's performance. God, I'm going to get so much grief for this. Unable to deal with hearing anymore, I retreat upstairs as quickly as I can, closing my bedroom door and flopping onto my bed lifelessly. My duvet smothers my face a little, but I don't free myself from its grasp. My breath rushing down at my skin hotly as I lay face down. I almost wish I hadn't met Haruka. There's the saying goes, and this isn't quite the truth, but it's pretty close to it. You would rather have loved and to lost rather than to not have loved at all. So if you've lost someone that you've loved, you know the grievance and horror that awaits when losing something that you've loved, than to have not have loved at all. And in this case, it's almost like you wish that you never met Haruka rather than met Haruka. It feels like a knife in my chest to think of that, but part of me is generally wishing that I hadn't saved me from hurting her this way, and to prevent me from feeling such anguish. I don't want to have to think about these things anymore. I just want everything to go back to the way it was before any of this happened, before I joined a music club, before I started hoping and wishing. Well, another day. I've done what I need to do. I've forced myself to do everything in my power to forget about the mistakes I've made, and the hurt that I feel. I've deleted Haruka's number, and all of the club pieces from my phone. I've returned all of the sheet music to the library. I've gone back to my old routine, sitting silently through my classes, eating alone at lunchtime, and going straight home once the last class of the day ends. It feels odd, despite the fact that I've did it for years, but I know that soon enough it'll become normal again. My heart aches for everything that I've lost, but I blocked it out, knowing that I'd rather go back to my old life than pretend that staying in a music club would be okay. The only thing that ever got me through, giving me optimism, and improved my playing, was Haruka's guidance. Without it, I don't think I could do such a thing. The second hand of the clock steadily ticks, and I pack my things away as I watch its small journey, ready to leap out on my seat. It reaches destination, I head for mine. Wow. Looking up at the weeping sky, I open my umbrella and shield myself from the downpour, hiding myself from the world in the process. With everything I did in the last couple of months, I guess I forgot my original goal in all of this, to be invisible. As I'm about to step onto the main pathway that leads away from the school, I found myself hesitating one final time. Haruka's probably inside of that little practice room right now, all by herself. What is she thinking? Is she playing, or has she lost hope too? Will she achieve her dream? It's not my business anymore. No matter how much I might want to know, it'll only cause more hurt. Inhaling the humid, muggy air, I make my way down the path alone, leaving Haruka and all of my own impossible dreams behind. Ouch. Bad ending one. So there's more than one bad ending then. Yikes, Captain. That is definitely what you call a very bad outcome. That was very heavy, actually. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I played through all of that because just knowing what that route would do, it would inevitably caused all of this to happen. Like, when we got to this load part, and then when we got to here, we should have selected forget it. But we didn't. And that's just so painful. But, folks, in the next time, we will see what will happen when we do select forget it. Just pass it over and not ask her about it again. But yeah, that was something. Something in its own way. And it's kind of refreshing to see that not all tales have good endings to them, good outcomes. That some outcomes are very catastrophic. And in that bad ending, it's kind of like the cycle repeats, the cycle commences once more. At that very little moment, Kakeru was outside of a cycle, and because of Haruka's pierces to his heart, it's just like those words just suddenly, those dreams just suddenly went away. That's really bad. And I feel sorry entirely for Kakeru, to be honest, because I feel like Haruka was playing the villain there, not Kakeru. Because I don't think that Kakeru was coming across at all as pushy or horrible. But it's Haruka's own shell that's causing her to deny other people, aside her parents. So thank you all so much for watching, guys, and see you all in the next time of Venus Improbable Dream. Thank you all so much for watching and take care of yourselves.